Craft brews and casual conversations. We are here together on the day that our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ rose back from the dead. He was put into, I guess I don't really know the whole thing. They crucified him, and then they put him in a cave afterwards. And then afterwards, he just comes walking out like, psych, not really gone, or I was, and now I'm here. Is that really kind of the gist of it, or was he put on the cross and then they just let him chill there for a while, and then he's just like, psych? I don't really know what the whole story.
Are you asking me?
Yeah, do you know?
Well, no, my question has always been, why don't they ever talk about, I've never heard about his second death.
That is true. I've never heard about that either.
So so some people, I feel like they think that it's like a metaphorical rising, but other people take it literal, and he walked out and was just like, hey, don't cut me because I bleed.
I don't really know. I don't know. And that's, beyond the point. I'm just saying we're giving up our great holiday time right now to throw together some things that are strange. You could say that rising from the dead and not being considered a zombie would be a bit strange. But yeah, we're going to talk about other things besides that. Are you ready?
Cue it.
Dudes with Brews on a Porch presents to you another edition of Strange Brews, Conspiracies, Murder, Ghost Stories, Aliens. They're all coming to get you, my dears.
All right. Here we are. Sunday morning. People feeling good. Maybe. I'm actually not feeling that great. I'm very congested. It's been a whirlwind in the world of weather. I think, my allergies, they just don't know how to respond to the environments right now. And so I'm dealing with that. I got some coffee brewing. It shall be delivered to me, hopefully, eventually in time. But that's it. No beer or anything for me today as of right now, because I got other things to do.
It is Easter. You never know what's going to happen.
Right. A lot of people make these posts about he's risen. He's risen. Like, well, I don't see anybody. I get up every day. I rise every day, and nobody celebrates me.
Yeah, but you put on a pretty sweet Bucks shirt today.
Yeah, nice sweatshirt. We could see the last time Giannis ever wears a Bucks jersey pretty soon, because they're not going into the playoffs. I think their last game is coming up.
Oh, for his sake, I think he needs to move on.
Yeah.
He deserves a championship, another one for his legacy. I don't think the Bucks are going to give it to him. I don't want to say that, but we just can't deliver. We're a great team.
Yeah.
How are the levels?
I think they're good. They're fine.
Okay, I'm going to ask throughout. This is unprecedented territory. I'm working with 2 cell phones and a computer.
Yeah.
We're integrating technology here.
We're doing a lot of things, but that's okay. So far, so good, I believe. But yeah, that could be what goes down today or this season. I hope Giannis doesn't leave, but I think it'd be in the best interest for him and probably the team to do so, and then we just rebuild for 40 years and maybe win a championship before we're dead.
Yeah, if we can get 2 in our lifetime,
that's pretty solid, I guess.
We're looking all right.
Yeah. So who knows?
But we have good young players. I like our team. I always like our team.
Yeah.
But it just, for some reason, they don't have urgency from game to game.
Right.
So these players will put up 140 one night, and then the next night they're, I don't want to say dog shit, but
yeah,
they did.
That's what it is. It's how it goes. But enough about that. We're here to talk about the wild story of Raymond Rife. Raymond Rife was a guy, I think his full name is Royal Raymond Rife, an American inventor obsessed with microscopes and microorganisms. He was born in 1888. And he created this super microscope capable of seeing live viruses.
Let me just do this.
So at the time, there was like, this is impossible in real world science back in this day or whatever. From the 1920s to the 1930s, he created this thing called a beam ray, which is now called a Rife machine. His kind of idea behind this was every disease has an electromagnetic frequency to it. And if you hit the right frequency, it will then destroy the virus. So then he applied this to cancer and diseases. He's like, well, these are all caused by microorganisms, and those organisms vibrate at these frequencies. So we can shatter them using radio waves. So he called this the mortal oscillatory rate. So, you know, when you sing or whatever, you have those opera singers, they hit the right note and the wine glass breaks, right? It's the vibrations of the frequencies. Everything is in a state of vibration or motion. It might look like
resonance.
Yeah. You know, like, so like, you know, the table in your kitchen is made of atoms and all that, and it's always moving, but we don't know because it's at a frequency that it just doesn't impact what we see, I guess. So this was kind of his idea, and he's applying it, and kind of behind it was like, target the cancer cells, play at a frequency that makes it shatter, boom. You're good. You're cancer free. You don't have it didn't like mess with healthy cells. And then over time he's like, well, this could cure a lot of different diseases out there. So this is where like the weird stuff goes down. So he allegedly says, I have successfully cured cancer in early trials. And then all of the things that he had, so he had like data, he had notes, he had trials, somehow were suppressed and essentially destroyed from the American Medical Association, Big Pharma, and of course it's like organized medicine as a whole. He buried his work, or he was buried, his work was buried and discredited by these institutions. So that's like what kind of like the thing around it, to the point where I think his lab was like burned down completely. Like he had all this data and all this kind of stuff, and yeah. But of course, now the counterpoint is they say, well, there's no evidence that actually really happened. So,
well, it seems like it'd be easy enough for if he did it in 1880.
He did it in the 1920s, 1930s.
So the 1920s, like I feel like any amateur person could do what he did.
Yeah. But a lot of people on the side that say this really happened are saying like, yeah, the cure existed, it got buried, or maybe it got burned, and it's gone. Science says, yeah, no reliable evidence that this actually cured cancer. These devices weren't approved by regulators, and most claims are anecdotal, not backed by clinical trials. But
have they done clinical trials?
So some people have tried the Rife machines instead of real treatment, and they died as a result of it.
From the machine or from the cancer?
That's a good question. They
because if maybe the machine kills the cancer, but along with it does
yeah. So it's just interesting that even though I was just having this conversation with somebody the other day, it was like they have the cure, they've had it for a long time. Whether it's this Rife dude and his method of doing it, or they've created a vaccine, or they created something that cures it, it'll never get released to the public. It'll never get, like, if you or I have cancer, we have to go through the radiation, the chemo, dump tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars into the medical system. That's then lining the pockets of pharma industry and CEOs of medical companies, CEOs of health insurance, all that kind of stuff. Like, you have to be high profile to really even get probably a little lick of that cure.
Yeah, I don't foresee them ever releasing anything like that. And I would say the one thing that is interesting to me about this is there's people that think like like ancient Egyptians used resonance theory and frequencies to move the stones that were created to make the pyramids and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But they have medical journals that talk about how they had this thing called which is cancer. They describe it as such. They don't call it such, but they didn't figure out how to cure it with the sound, but they figured out how to move big rocks with sound. So I think that takes away from this guy's theory a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, it's just interesting, and it still kind of gets brought up every once in a while because the idea of frequency-based healing isn't super uncommon, I guess. Like some hippies and all that kind of stuff probably dive into it quite a bit.
Harsh.
What?
That's harsh.
Calling them hippies?
Yeah.
Why?
Not everybody that believes in frequency healing is a hippie. Some of them are.
You're right.
Because the basis of what you're talking about is a logistical fact. I mean, everything has a resonance theory. Everything it needs to be in balance. So, like, I kind of believe in that stuff. I just don't do it because I also don't go to see a doctor.
Yeah, I believe he was onto something, and the frequencies can do that. Absolutely. I don't disagree with that at all. I was just saying, like people that are like, oh, like, give me the crystals, give me the frequencies. I don't know. They all just seem to get lumped together like a bunch of hippies. You don't like hippies?
Yeah. I have no problem with hippies. I just think that in this day and age, Drew, terminology is important, and it seems like you're lumping people into a group.
Yeah, you're right.
And it's a little bit more nuanced than that.
Yeah, my apologies.
What about the yuppies? What about the yippies? What about the
yeehaws?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I guess. But I never heard of that guy until somebody brought him up to me. We were supposed to be doing something else, and he's like, I've just been deep diving into this guy for a handful of hours, and then we started talking about it, which is cool, strange, unusual.
I mean, it fits the pattern of anything that happened after 1776, where companies they made a product necessary so that they could raise the price on it, and not having a cure for diseases is much more profitable.
Absolutely, which is unfortunate because it's like, oh yeah, you gotta go to this appointment and then you get this bill. Oh, but you have to have the follow-up to see if the first appointment was good enough. So you have this follow-up. That's going to cost you X amount of dollars. Things weren't right this last time, so we're going to redo this next appointment. We're going to do the same thing that we did the first time, but tweak it just mildly, and then see how that goes. Endless follow-ups, endless machines, endless prescriptions, and it's just it's horrible. Horrible. It really is. And then if you don't pay the money that they give you, like, you can't negotiate medical prices, even though it doesn't cost that much money to go do these things. Or if they'll be like, oh, you'll get a 10% discount if you pay this, if you pay before this date. Well, to me, that's like, yeah, then you're already inflating it to the beyond what it needs to be, which is really infuriating and drives me crazy. And while there's people out there dying all the time, and the people in the field, I think, are trying to help them. They don't control the release of information, the release of medicine, or they don't control the prices of the procedures. But ultimately, that's what deters people like you or I to going to the doctor. Because I had I had like a couple of visits to the doctor, and like I racked up like a fucking like $800 bill for next to nothing, for sitting in a room and a guy checking my blood pressure and then getting sent to the ER, and then they're like, "Oh, you're fine." Great.
Well, yeah, I mean, when I was a kid, I was in the hospital for like 5 days or something because my blood oxygen was low.
Oh, really?
And they ended up just being like, I don't know, that it must just be you got low blood oxygen. Let me go. And it was like, my parents just footed that bill.
Yeah. Did you try breathing? That would have been probably a good cure.
They never asked me to do that.
Oh, shoot. Well, then, if only.
I mean, I was in there because I got hit by a car.
You got hit by a car?
I got hit by a car, and my leg had like a scrape on it, and they took me to the hospital, and I ended up being there for like 5 days because of blood oxygen or something.
The person that hit you didn't pay for that?
No, they tried to get money from us because my bike was welded to the bottom of their van because they decided to drive for 2 blocks with it wedged underneath.
Oh, that's good. Oh, thank you, Neymar.
But they were at a stop sign. I was under a street light. I was crossing, but they tried to say because I didn't have a light on my bike, I should pay for their van.
Yeah, that's insane. My coffee has
in
been...
reality, they were driving with more people in the car than they were supposed to. You remember that? There's still a law where when you first get your license,
yeah,
you can only have like 1 license. So they were breaking that rule, and then they were also smoking weed. And then
oh, geez,
they waited until I was right in front of their van on my bike and just like gunned it. I don't know. They have one of those faces.
Yeah,
hit him with the car.
You ever watch Reefer Madness? Like that's what happens when you smoke the devil's
I
lettuce.
think that's what happened. Yep.
Yeah, Reefer Madness. I have my delicious decaf coffee here in my breakfast beer mug. Delicious.
I wanted to do decaf because I already did a caffeinated cup.
Yeah.
But apparently we finally got rid of all of our Nespresso decaf samplers because they take up space and we don't drink decaf.
Did you have anything that you had something you had, or you got the info here?
Yeah.
All right, go for it.
And I just came up with this, but I'm going to say that in honor of second chances, because I mean, you don't get a bigger second chance than getting crucified and walking away.
Right.
I found a story on this guy, William Chester Minor. Someone who you may not have heard of. So he was born in 1834. He was a surgeon in the Civil War. And he would go on after the war to submit. I don't even know how to tell this story properly because there's so much to it, actually. But so when the Oxford Dictionary was being made, they asked for submissions of words and definitions and uses of words for their dictionary, thinking they'd only get like maybe, I don't know, I forget what they said, but a very low number. This dude ended up sending in like 10 to 12,000 words.
Okay.
So he's like responsible for like a third of the dictionary.
All right.
And when they went to go like thank him or whatever, they where he was residing was in an insane asylum in England. So we had, it's like careful how you use the Oxford Dictionary, but I looked into how he ended up there. And it's like in the Civil War, the Civil War doctors had to do some like terrible things. I mean, you're cutting limbs off with a bone saw, no anesthetic or no, like no pain relief, anything like that. But the thing that stuck with him was that he had to brand an Irishman on his face with, like, he had to burn a scar into his face. And that would end up like staying with him after the war, to the point where he thought that the Irish were like following him and stuff.
Yeah.
So then when he went to England kind of to clear his mind and all that, but in a paranoid fit of rage, he murdered a man who he thought was breaking into his apartment or into his house.
Okay.
And who was not. This was a man that was father of 6, baby on the way.
Oh, dang.
I'm going to name him just for his name was George Merritt.
George Merritt.
Rest in peace, George.
R.I.P.
So then he went to trial. He wasn't found fit to go to prison.
Okay.
So he ended up in a insane asylum in New England.
Broadmoor Hospital.
It's possible, because he ends up in a different one later on when he comes back to the United States.
Okay.
I tried to find some of the stuff that he contributed, but I can't like get a list for some reason.
From what I can see,
but some things that I found interesting. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, from what I can see, like, yeah, he had access to books and correspondence while confined.
I was kind of getting to that.
Okay,
yeah.
okay, go ahead. My bad.
Because he had money, because of his army, like because he had a pension.
Oh, sure.
He got like his own room. He got books, and he was able to buy books and keep them there. There's some photos of him, and he looks straight up like a guy that gave 10,000 words to the dictionary.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever you're picturing right now, listeners, that's what he looks like. I promise you. His
like,
beard is only more glorious than you think.
Did he have the taped glasses?
I don't think they were taped, but I think they were certainly circular.
Circular? Yeah.
But there's some interesting aspects to the story that show the differences between then and now. First off, that yes, they would accept an incarcerated person's words into a dictionary.
There you go.
Which I don't know if that would fly now. Secondly, the widow of the man that he murdered kept in touch with him, brought him books, and helped him get books and write correspondences. Okay. Even though he left her a widow with 6 children, she was able to understand, forgive, and have a relationship with this person, which I think we need more of that in this world.
Yeah. Could be.
And then I think they looked into the conditions at that particular hospital that he was in. And they ended up transferring him back to the United States, where he promptly died.
Yeah, that's crazy. It says, like, so at the time, excuse me. So he read a lot of books, like you said, and the person who was the editor of the Oxford English Dictionary, his name was James Murray. He didn't know who he's getting all these words from. He didn't know like that this dude was always reading, and he cataloged historical word usage and all that kind of stuff. So he had no idea. And then eventually they met. He discovered like this guy is in an insane asylum, but then they formed a friendship. It says it took a dark turn, when he was transferred back to the U.S. and then died in 1920. That he just got increasingly paranoid, and then he self-mutilated himself.
See, I didn't.
That's crazy.
But I mean, if you know what the insane asylums of the United States were from 1902 to 1920. It doesn't surprise me so much.
Yeah.
The self-mutilation.
I read a book when I was in middle school about a guy who it was a true story. he had a cerebral palsy or cerebral palsy, however it's pronounced, and it was pretty severe, and they put him in, his family put him into a mental institution, and it was and that's where he grew up, and that's where he lived, and it was just like this kid who was like just has a disability got put into this mental institution and lived like a crazy life, and his family abandoned him, and it's just it's a pretty good story. It's super sad, but at the same time there's some touching moments in it. But yeah, that's what it was back in the day, this just those conditions, and anytime you were declared like not functional in whatever modern society's view of functional was that in that time, you got shipped there, and then you just lived a horrible life, most likely.
Well, I wonder about, like, we hear about the big ones, but I did see a little story that was like, why did like these insane asylums all kind of pop up at the same time? And it was at the same time that like massive industry started.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of like, a lot like the industrialization of. I have an echo in my headset, and it's like really hard for me to talk. So I apologize if I'm like stopping and letting the echo catch up. But anyway, these things all kind of like popped up at the same time, and it was at the same time that they started to need to really beat into society the idea of obey, 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 because you're the means of our production, so that we can get richer and richer. The steel industry, the oil industry, the automobile industry. It's like we became cogs in the big wheel, as opposed to people who should spend their time, like, I don't know, reading and free thought and all this stuff. And you kind of homesteading and farming and that kind of stuff. When that went away, then these things had already been built, and they were ready to put free thinkers away.
Yeah.
Along with people who can't, like, who didn't fit into the new society's model, which would be deaf, blind, cerebral palsy, disabled, unable to drill an oil well. You get sent to that place too.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but
no, I think you're on. I mean, back in the day, for sure. Obviously not now, or at least you hope not now. And like, I think a lot of those like institutions and places are, they have the professionals, and they're doing the things that they need to do and actually helping the people, rather it just being like a dumping ground of whatever it may be. So that's crazy.
Well, there's too many studies on those places where sane people go in trying to prove that they are doing something nefarious there, only to be told that they're insane and not of sane mind, and then they're not allowed to leave on their own, even though they voluntarily went in.
Yeah.
And it's like, we all have a mental block or disability, depending upon what dictionary term you use, and then you find out that the dictionary term came from a guy from an insane asylum. So I mean,
in Oxford, Oxford, I think, is like the #1 dictionary, right? I mean, there's Webster, but come on now.
Webster, I think Webster is probably going to win the popularity contest.
Sure.
But Oxford's going to win the IQ test.
If you and I made a dictionary, is that plagiarism? If we just put out a dictionary?
That is a very good question. I actually thought about, like, what would you do if you like just put out in the world today, like, send in your correspondence for our new dictionary.
New dictionary. The Dudes with Brews on a Porch dictionary.
Well, it's like maps, How many dictionaries do you think? There's a beer dictionary. I know that. I've seen it.
Yeah.
There's all these different dictionaries. There's all different types of maps, and they all, like, have their own take on whatever they're doing.
Yeah. I mean, English is such a crazy language that many words mean different things. So, yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, if you just came out with a straightforward dictionary and you were like, this is Drew's dictionary, Webster would get mad at you probably.
You think?
If you gain traction.
I don't know how many people are buying dictionaries these days.
Yeah, really. We do actually have that system now. It's just updated all the time. It's called Wikipedia.
Yeah.
And they need your money.
They do. Anytime you go on there, they're asking for it. Inflation hits the.
They are, yes.
Inflation hits the internet costs as well.
I donated. I donated $10 to them.
You did?
Yeah. Don't do that.
Don't.
Because then they get relentless. They're like, we see you've done it before. we know it's a problem.
You think they'd be more relentless on we know you haven't donated. We see how many times your IP address accesses our storage in our database. You haven't given us a single penny. You use it all the time, but you got to do. I don't know.
But once you give, they're like, oh, you have e-morals, so we're gonna pull at those heartstrings.
Yeah, I can't say I've ever given Wikipedia money.
What about WPR?
No, I have.
I gave them money too on a few different occasions.
PBS. I've given them money.
I've never given to PBS.
Yeah, they're good. They were defunded or whatever. So
yeah, I should. That's a good idea.
Yeah, PBS, they're the best. Reading Rainbow, Sesame
we do
Street.
need PBS in this world.
Mr. Rogers, I think, was on PBS back in the day.
Yeah, I think so. Wasn't Bob Ross on there too?
Might have been. Bob Ross.
Seems like a public, yeah.
Yeah, he seems like a good guy. Kind of had a tragic story, didn't he?
Yeah, I think somebody they did that movie on him now. But they trump things up. You never know. It's
yeah.
We live in the age where I looked for this guy Minor multiple different places before I actually was let's talk about it on the podcast, because too many times I'll come across something on Instagram or a reel or whatever, and you go and try and trace it back, and it's like, oh, it's literally just something somebody made up so that they could get likes on a reel.
Yeah, that's how it goes, man. Nothing. You can't trust anything anymore. Nothing's real, or maybe everything's real, and we just got to pick which ones we think. I don't know.
Yeah, could be.
There is no truth.
Well, I choose to believe that you can use radio waves to beat cancer.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there's endless frequencies. There's frequencies we can't hear. But they're so high, maybe they could shatter virus cells. But, could you imagine if that was pitched in modern time, how many people would just be going nuts over that? You look at a vaccine that was created to try to help people, and then they go, "What do you mean frequencies? Oh, you just gonna play the radio? You gosh darn libs, America, give me my red hat."
See, I was thinking the other side of it. Your cancer frequencies are scaring away all the bees, and they're messing up the bats.
Yeah. Do you have a lot of bats in California?
That was a big thing with those with the wind turbines.
The bats?
Yeah, they were killing bats or something, and it was. I just remember it being a big controversy.
Yeah. Do you get a lot of bats in California?
Can't say that I've seen too many bats.
Yeah. You see more cockroaches than bats?
Oh, absolutely. And rats. Coyotes. I've seen quite a few coyotes.
I never saw a cockroach in the wild until I was in California and we were walking down the street.
Yeah, they're just
dude, they're
chilling out and about,
just bumming.
Yeah,
that could have been Gregory or Gregor.
Yeah, was it at night? Because that's when they really.
Yeah, it was. We were walking back from that brewery. I forget what it was called, Light something.
Lawless.
Yeah. That's what it was.
Yeah. That's the part of town.
That's where the cockroaches hang out. We were by that abandoned Walgreens.
Yeah, I mean, Lawless isn't that bad. Like, there's just dumpsters on people's front yards perpetually.
Yeah.
I don't know where all the burned out mattresses come from, but there's always one in there.
Someone's got access to them. That's how it goes. Good stuff. You ever read The Metamorphosis back in the day?
I don't think so.
No, about the story of Gregor who wakes up and he's a bug. And then
no, I did not. Unless, is that like in your English book? Is that one of those kind of?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe I did. I forgot a lot of those.
Yeah, it's an okay story. It's an interesting story. You know, he's just a guy trying to live his life, support his family, and then his family abandons him and leaves him for dead because he turns into a cockroach. Yeah.
What happens at the end?
His family leaves him in the room that he can't get out of because he's too big to fit through the door, and they just bail.
He's a full-size, like a human-sized cockroach?
Yeah.
That makes that story so much different to me. I thought he turned into a little cockroach.
No, he's just a big-ass bug.
That's kind of what happened, you know.
You never read that?
Well, no, I don't think. I think I would have remembered that one.
There's a Joe Hill, who's Stephen King's son, wrote like his rendition of The Metamorphosis, and it's where in the Metamorphosis, like it's like the family turning on the guy who turned into a bug, and he's like, I'm doing my best. I'm trying to go to work. I'm trying to communicate, but no one understands me. And then family leaves him to die. And this one with the Joe Hill short story, he turns into like a locust or something like that, and then he just fucking kills everybody.
Yeah, locusts they'll eat anything.
Yeah, pretty interesting.
What came first, the original Metamorphosis or The Fly?
I think the Metamorphosis was first, because it was like, I want to say early 1900s or 1800s that was written. So it would have been.
I don't know if I don't know if The Fly is based on a book or
1915.
Yeah, that's going to probably predate.
Yeah, Franz Kafka wrote it. So I'm sure The Fly had some sort of inspiration of it. I've never seen The Fly. Isn't that Jeff Goldblum?
Good. It's Goldblum, yeah.
Yeah. Isn't there two of them?
There is The Fly 2, and then there is a remake, I believe.
Oh,
did you see they remade Lord of the Flies?
They remade it?
Yeah.
When?
That is a good question. I didn't see, but I just know that I saw the end of the remake.
I don't know if I've ever seen the original.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Still holds up.
Does it? It's just like a bunch of.
I mean, that's a timeless story of human society and breakdown, and
but with children, right?
Just children actors, so they're not really bad. They're just they're moldable. Children become what you tell them to become.
Yeah.
So that was supposed to be funny-ish, but because they kill each other.
Oh. Okay.
It's probably not a good idea to make that movie with children.
I just knew the one guy named Piggy. I think like we started to read Lord of the Flies when I was in school, and then I went on vacation and I missed the rest of the book and I didn't get to watch the movie.
Oh, well, you should go watch it. It's actually one that's worth watching. I thought you were going to say they banned it.
No. Okay. No. Maybe I'll read the book too.
Do it.
You think the book's pretty good?
Yes.
Yeah. All right. I'm reading The Troop right now, which I think is going to turn into a little Lord of the Flies situation. Kids on an island. I don't know what
the troop is.
It's a Boy Scout troop is on an island, like an island that's not inhabited. They go there every year with their scoutmaster. There's one guy who's like a government experiment, has like a tapeworm inside of his body, and he's coming over to the island, like fleeing from being a project, and gets wild and crazy. And I'm assuming he's going to kill the scoutmaster. I think that's coming pretty soon. And then the boys are off trying to earn a merit badge right now, and they're and then they have to figure it all out. Sounds cool.
Sounds like it certainly could turn into a Lord of the Flies situation.
Yeah. So we'll see
Lord
how
of
it
the
goes.
Flies meets Living Dead.
Maybe. I will say I read I finished that Tender is the Flesh book, and where like it's like legal cannibalism and it's all animals are eradicated and now the meat source is genetically modified humans essentially. It's pretty messed up. The ending really left me torn.
Was the ending? Did the person who thought they were just eating meat that was being farmed find out that they were in a meat farm?
No.
Okay.
Essentially, yeah. You want me to tell you what happens?
Just give the. I'm not going to read it. So.
All right. So like the main dude.
Spoiler alert.
The main dude, Marcos. He's like pretty much a top like dude in this this meat industry, right? He works with all these vendors and does all this stuff. It walks you through the kill process and all that kind of stuff. And then they have these things that are called they're like fully genetic products where they were specifically made to be consumed for the masses or whatever. They're not like you or I. They were made in a lab and they were made for this. And then he meets with one of his vendors and then the vendor gifts him what they call a female. So a woman who's meant to be like you can either she was a fully created one in the lab or in captivity, and you can make her a breeder where you get another one and then you breed them and then you sell them like like dog breeders almost. You could sell her because she's worth more and all that. And this guy like went through is like separated from his wife for now. His son just died not that long ago. His dad is in nursing home and not doing well, and then his sister is kind of like a piece of garbage. And in the whole time, you think this dude has like this moral high ground of like he doesn't eat meat, he doesn't like to like eat the products or anything because he's just like, yeah, I just do this because I have to survive or whatever. And then like he gets his female, he puts her in the barn just like an animal, like legitimately like your cow or whatever goat. And then over time, he makes some choices that are illegal. He procreates with the female. Female gets pregnant. He brings her inside and like has to hide it because it's illegal. Because then if you find out like that happened, he'll get turned into he'll just get sent to slaughter as well because he broke a law. And over time it's like this moral gray area. He's like, oh, this is a person. Like now she's pregnant with my baby and this and like what do I do? And you seem to think there's like this whole time there's like this connection. The lady, the female, he calls her Jasmine after a while. She can't speak. She doesn't really understand things or whatever. Eventually gives birth. And then he calls his wife, who was a nurse, is like, I need you here now. Don't question this, whatever. Get over here and birth this baby. And essentially gives birth to the baby. And then he's like, all right, we got our baby. Like, this is our baby now. This is our baby. And then like the female's like reaching for the baby, like, oh my gosh, the baby or whatever. And dude just kills her. And he goes like, oh, it has like this line at the end. And it's just like, holy shit.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it was just messed up.
It's my kind of ending, though.
Yeah.
That sounds like an ending where they couldn't figure out, like, okay, what are we gonna do for to wrap this whole thing up? Shoot somebody in the.
And he clubs her in the head, and then
right.
Just like a baby seal, and yeah, and then they're just like, oh yeah, this is our baby now. Oh, and
so did him and his ex-wife get back together?
Yeah, it seems that way.
Okay.
It just it ends on that line. I forget what the line says verbatim, but
sadly, that's I feel like I'd like to know what happens in that story from if that was the starting point.
Yeah,
Because it's like now you have this animal baby, but you can get into the idea of what like the difference between when you actually nurture
right
a child as opposed to raise it to be meat to eat.
Yeah, it's not what I thought it would be, but hey, I read it. It's very critically acclaimed. A lot of people like it. It caught like a lot of I don't know that I wouldn't necessarily say like I liked it. It was a shorter book, like 210 pages only, and it kept me intrigued enough to keep reading. But then at the same time, I was just like, wow, this is I wouldn't recommend it to like most people. I'd recommend it to you. But
well, I appreciate that.
But yeah, it was I've never had like a ending of a book just had me go, whoa, and just kind of like sit there for a little bit and stew on this. It's all, the whole story is just moral gray area. Which and as time,
which I don't read a lot. I don't read a lot of those types of books. I never really have. I don't feel like. So.
Yeah, and as time goes on, I think we're living in a grayer and grayer world.
Well, and that's kind of the Lord of the Flies book is worth reading because there is like it gets into this like mob mentality and mob rule themology.
Yeah, well, so we'll see. Got a lot of books on my list that I got to read. I got to finish The Troop. And then I might get that 8th Dexter book and just finish the series, even though I wasn't impressed. The 7th one was okay, but I was like, I've read all of them so far. I'm going to read the last one and see how it ends. And then maybe throw Lord of the Flies in there. I got, got some stuff I got to read. So we'll see.
I have a few books that I have like packed away. I have to get that box because there are some books I want to read in there. So
yeah, reading is good for you. Butterfly in the
really
Sky.
Good to read that book, that Falconer book.
Yeah,
and so when you finish a book, it feel
accomplished,
like a task has been something's been done. Yes,
I did this. Yeah, and now I have more knowledge and other thoughts and all that.
I was going to say, I'm going to write it on a t-shirt, all the books I've read, so I can wear it and people can know that I read those books.
Right. I am literate.
Oh, no, I'm going to spell everything wrong, though.
Good. But yeah, that's what it is. Cancer. Dictionaries. Easter. Books about cannibalism, all very strange. The fact that I haven't had caffeine in like almost 2 months, also very strange.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't sound like you're too enthusiastic about it. But you also haven't had caffeine. So.
Yeah. Well, the one time I had it, it just made me feel awful, like I said. So I'm not going to go back to this. So now I don't drink Diet Cokes anymore. I've been drinking some diet root beer, and I gotta say it's pretty tasty.
Root beer is good.
Root beer is good. So I didn't drink Liquid Death like crazy too. So
I'll say that like I didn't want to have this second cup of coffee because it gets in your whole bloodstream feels weird, and then all of a sudden I have this like where my brain's awake but my body wants to take a nap.
Yeah, I hear you.
I don't like it.
Yeah, I understand. But that's that. How was your... Well, yeah, so your coffee gave you that. My decaf coffee doesn't make me feel like that. I just drink it strictly out of the habit. I don't even know if I enjoy coffee, but I still...
But you got all the cups.
I drink it all the time. So I guess, we're all creatures of habits in some way, shape, or other. linktr.ee/dudes with brews is the name of the website you can go to access all of our things. Follow us on Instagram, buy a t-shirt. I might suggest the Forever Miller Park t-shirt. Now that baseball season is here, their field is called American Family Field, but for those who know, they know. Forever, Miller Park. God bless us, everyone.
Yeah.